Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Charles Derrick.
This is J-Rob.
And this is Bringing the Noise. Well, man, J-Rob, look, I'm going to tell you something. We have had some great interviews, podcasts, whatever you want to call it. We've had some great talks is the best way to put it with several folks already. We're trying to get this content out to y'all as quickly as we can. We're recording a lot more podcasts than we're actually putting out because it takes a while to edit this stuff. So, but we got some people that's had some pretty cool stories up to this point and in their careers, and everybody's got an awesome story, right? Everybody's got an awesome story. But we just confirmed a couple of people that's going to be coming up later on down the road that have actually had legendary careers. I'm not going to say some names yet, but when I tell you, I'm talking about legendary, I'm talking about we are stoked that we got them to agree to be on this thing. It's going to really be interesting for everybody to check out. So, but today I want to go ahead and say this guy we got on the podcast today, I know him. He has had a career up to this point that most people wished they could even halfway get to.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, when you're a kid and you're sitting around and you're thinking about what I want to be, obviously you shoot to the moon with that and you think, man, I want to be Tim McGraw. I want to be, Bon Jovi, whatever. But when you start to really get out there, if you really try to do entertainment and you start to get out there, you start to realize, my dreams may have been a little bit too much out of the stratosphere. But I'm going to tell you something. There's not many people around here in these parts that can say they had a career, even what he's had up to this point and what he's doing, and has been able to stay in the business like he has, and is able to tell the stories that he's got, just looking through some old stuff and some stuff he's done, even since the old stuff that maybe people know who this guy is, knows him about, from. The guy's got one hell of an entertainment career story to tell. Just a little bit of that, man. The guy has performed for Miss Mississippi pageant. He has went to major TV award shows. This guy's had songs charted on the Billboard country charts. And I don't know if you know this, but he's got over 500,000 views now on Guitar Slinger on YouTube. I saw that earlier today. I was kind of blown away. Opened up for countless people, countless huge names. I mean, I've got a list here, pretty astounding of names this guy has played shows with. He's a family man these days. Beautiful wife, Morgan, children, Rivers and Rowan. We got Jason Miller on the show today.
Southern comfort running through my veins. My mama was the wind, and my daddy was a train. I'm the second coming of the midnight rider. I'm a modern day old soul singer, son of a gun and guitar slinger. How it is, my truck's got more dirt on me than I got on it. My truck's got more dirt on me than I got on it. I know she'll be running strong long after I quit. Yeah, she's seen me throw some blows, she's seen me take some hits. My truck's got more dirt on me than I got on it. My truck's got more dirt on me than I got on it. My truck's got more dirt on me than I got on it.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, man.
There for
I'm
me.
looking forward to this one.
Glad to be here. Honored to be a part of it.
Sweet, man. Okay.
But
So when was the last time we actually, I mean, we was talking about earlier, we saw you in Jackson, Mississippi, but was it us doing the show together? That Mississippi 3 deal? Was that the last time?
I think the Mississippi 3 show is the last time I actually saw you. And I don't
Gotcha.
even remember where we were doing that show. We've done several of them.
I don't either, to be honest with you. And that's probably been what, 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years at the least.
Man.
Thing called COVID we had to deal with last year. Nobody did a lot of anything. So
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, of course I was saving that stuff for later. Nobody wants to talk about that stuff, but just real quickly, how's that affected what you, because everybody so far has said it's majorly, some things, but what, how's it affected?
man, I'm gonna tell you, it slowed us down a pretty good bit. I noticed we started getting private party bookings, that type of thing, or people trying to sneak around and have parties or weddings if they could. But most of the weddings we were booked for probably got moved and moved again. Man, I can't tell you how many times that's happened, but we were fortunate enough to still play a little bit, but public venues. I mean, there were some opportunities there to play some public venues, but I mean, just being real with you guys, I mean, if you can only get half capacity in there, then I mean, that affects everybody's pocketbook, including ours.
Sure.
And not that we didn't want to play, but I mean, there are safety issues we had to consider and also financial issues. It had to be financially smart as well as, safe on our end. So, man, it put a dent in my pocketbook, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
I promise you that.
Made me totally want to regroup this whole thing, man, and try to just recreate something else,
That's exactly right. It was tough on a lot of people. I think a lot of people, I've even heard of a few acts that have split up and not done anything again since. And it's just been, it's been crazy. I mean, who would have ever thought this is something you thought you'd see on the movies,
Yeah.
like a zombie apocalypse or something. So, what's coming next year? Yes.
And probably
Twilight
made some
Zone.
other bands considered some other different revenue streams too, instead of just depending on the club thing, figure out some other kind of way to at least get something coming in from different angles.
That's right. A lot of people resorted to all sorts of, there were a lot of people at one point in time doing live shows on, like Zoom or different types of internet meeting options or, whatever. I think people learned how to adapt in a way of to where, it was a convenience, a necessity and a convenience at the same time. And I think in a lot of ways, that is going to be the new normal. People know how easy it is to, I've seen bands on the computer, via Zoom or something like that. It's just crazy, man. Nobody ever thought, like I said, who would have ever thought this would happen,
Right. And it probably did change the game a little bit from now on, even if it gets back to a so-called normal, it's still going to be somewhat different. Right. Yeah. What is that now?
Yeah. What exactly is normal? I think I'm going to get a t-shirt printed up. Probably. What is normal?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Well, I tell you what, instead of like we did our last podcast, let's try to, I guess now start at the beginning. So I don't know the story, of really how you got going. I know that, you're from Sturgis, Mississippi. And I know we knew some people in the same circles and stuff from around there, but I don't know what your story is. What brought you in and everything. I don't know anything until Coyote Wild kind of thing, pretty much.
Right. Well, man, if you go back to the beginning, I guess it all started in 6th grade. I got sent to the principal's office for throwing spitballs at what's it? Not my teacher's head, but a Shakespeare picture right behind her head. I'm just kidding. Anyway, man, it all started. I'm gonna tell you, I did a contest when I was in junior college, and I used to sing in church growing up as a kid. My grandmother played piano, and that was the first time I ever sang publicly in front of anybody. And really from that point, I would say from the age 14 or 15 till I was probably 20, I just kind of music didn't exist anymore. I didn't sing. I didn't do anything like that. And then I met this guy by the name of Robert Box, who was a phenomenal musician. A lot of people probably know who Robert is around the state. I know you probably heard me talk about Robert before.
Yeah, I know.
And the guy used to tour with Dolly Parton when she was Garth Brooks status. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He played for the. I mean, he's done it all. And Robert came up to me one day. I was in Ackerman, Mississippi, playing with a cassette. It's me and a cassette tape, and I was singing. I don't even know what song it was, and I'd be scared to look and tell you if I did. But he approached me after I got down, and wanted to know if I'd be interested in coming and sitting in and doing a few songs with his band wherever they played. Well, of course, I was all for it. Now, my mama wasn't crazy about it, but she couldn't stand me being in a bar singing, you know. But I went to Partners in Grenada, Mississippi, with Robert and his band one night, and I sat in and sang like 4 songs with him at the end of the night. And I remember I had this black felt cowboy hat, starch Wranglers. I mean, they were starch. Couldn't bend over to pick nothing up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one of them big old belt buckles and a Mo Betta. Garth Brooks used to wear a brand of clothing called Mo Betta.
I remember that.
Mo Betta shirt with flames going down the sleeves. I mean, dude, I look like something out of Brooks and Dunn video. And,
now, what year would this have been?
Man, I don't. God, I'm scared to tell my age. If I give you the year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Dude, this guy never ages, by the way. This guy never ages, by the way. He still looks exactly the same as when I first saw him. I done lost my hair and everything else since back then when I first met him.
No, man, that was probably, God, 1999, maybe 98, 99, something like that. And so there it was. My career began right there. I did this for about probably a year. And I didn't get paid. And I never asked any money. I would just jump in a ride with one of them, or I don't know, man, I loved it. Something about being on the stage, you guys know. I mean, it's a rush. Oh, yeah. And it was just something that like awakened inside of me, if that, for lack of words. And I just had a fire for it, man. It just I longed for that feeling of being on stage and performing. And I used to get so nervous. I can remember singing at church. Singing in a bar didn't faze me. I don't know if that's a bad sign or not, but singing in church made me sick at my stomach. I was so nervous.
Or you had to be a certain you had to be a certain way.
I guess because, I hate to say this, I guess because everybody in there was 100% sober and paying attention to what was going.
Different audience.
It's a different audience.
That's true, though. That's true. See, I get nervous getting up like in front of crowds, having to talk, like, you know, say at a church or something like that. It's just a different ball game, man. Whereas you put me on a stage where I can be totally me, it's I don't have to be a certain way. I'm right. Cool. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And you know, man, it just kind of every weekend I did that, and it just slowly evolved into okay, well, that band kind of split up. So me and a couple of those guys stayed together and patched some stuff together and I started performing more with them. And then eventually it became me, a lot of the singing, or 99% of it. And man, I did that, gosh, for years. And then, you know how it goes, man. You do that and you slowly just start meeting other people that do the same thing. And so one band breaks up, you call these guys up and say, hey, you guys want to try this? And that's kind of how it evolved from, man, I'm trying to remember all the band names I was in. It was Second Wind. Burning Bridges was one of them. Second Wind was the one after that. And Second Wind evolved into Coyote Wild.
Okay.
And Coyote Wild was a really big success around Mississippi. We did really well. We drew really well. It was me, Charlie Grantham, Brad, Michael Bowl, and all of these guys, you know, would make up Crossin Dixon later on down the road. And then Sonny Brooks played bass for us. And
Okay. But now, so all right, but first, before we even, because I
yeah,
got
and I
questions
might
about
need to
that
get ahead of
too.
myself.
Well, I've got questions about that too. So, but first, Robert Boggs, I actually went and recorded some stuff with him with Jay in a
Yeah.
little old shed behind Robert Boggs's
Yeah.
house, and he was telling us about you. I remember that back then.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what year that would have been. It probably would have been maybe 07 or something like that, or
right before I got in, because I remember you and Jay talking about that.
Yeah. And he was, I mean, just a great old guy, man. Just
He'd make you sick when he picked up a guitar, man. He just,
I can't remember. I don't know if he just didn't. I don't know if we was. I think it was just like one night we went in there and did a little something and stuff. And Jay knew him really well, but I just remember him being a really nice guy. I couldn't tell you, about him playing that night, and he may have, but but okay. And so in Coyote Wild, before, how did you, because Brand was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon and Charlie was with another band, maybe. What was it?
Crazy,
it was Crazy Jane.
Crazy Jane, I believe. They were a rock band
out of the Delta. How did y'all end up getting together? I never heard the story, and I want to say somebody told me maybe Sonny Brooks had something to do with that, or
He did. Sonny kind of orchestrated that whole thing. He and Michael Bowl were buddies. And Michael was with me playing in the country band. We were, I guess it was Second Wind at that time. And talking back and forth. And we went and watched them play. Like I remember going to Studio 55 in Grenada and watching Crazy Jane play. And they were, I mean, dude, I was like, man, these guys are good. And they were. And I mean, the place was packed. And Michael said, how do you feel about us joining up with Sonny, Charles, and Brandon, and then merging, half of us with half of I said, man, I'm down. So I remember he called me up one day and said, all right, we're going to practice this weekend with all of them. And we practiced in Kosciuszko, Mississippi at an insurance building. And it was one that my buddy owned, Russ Nowell. I don't know if you know Russ Nowell, ever came across Russ. Mm-hmm. But there's a history there with Russ. Russ and I did a lot of acoustic shows way back. We played around a lot together before all this. Man, I don't tell you, if I started from the beginning and I went through every aspect of it, brother, we'd be here for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
We definitely have to mix a drink. But so we joined and we became Coyote Wild. That was the name. And man, it was just Brandon and Charlie. I remember, I won't ever forget when we sang together in Kosciuszko that day. And back then, and I know you guys know all about this, we woodshed. I mean, we practiced
absolutely
up until the night, spend the night, get up that morning and go again. I mean, we did that a lot. And when we started singing together and those harmonies came together, and I mean, I was like, I got chills. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it, but I got chills just the way all that happened, and it just came together. It was like it was just meant to be. And we all got along together, which is huge. And so, man, we just started. It started there. We had great success. We played all over the state. Sometimes we got over in Alabama and Tennessee and played some, Louisiana. Gosh, and then one day we were supposed to play in Huntsville, Alabama, and I won't ever forget. The owner of the bar called me and he said, Jason, he said, I've got some bad news and some good news. And I said, well, lay the bad news on me first. And he said, well, I don't need you to headline this weekend, but I do want you to open if you're interested. But it's going to cut into your money. I can't pay you what I was going to pay you because I'm paying this guy. I'm like, well, who is it? He said, well, it's Jason Aldean. Jason Aldean's going to be coming through, and we were able to get him in here to play. But I want you to open up for him. And I'm like, man, I'm going to have to talk to the guy. I didn't know much about Jason at that point in time. And I told the guys about it. And I said, well, it's going to cut into our dough. Y'all want to do it? We can stay at the house. And I mean, of course, they were like, no, let's go do it. I mean, let's go play. Let's go see what all this is about. And back then it was more of an ego thing where, hey, we want to try to blow them off stage. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
It's like a competition thing. That mentality kicks in. You're like, all right, you're going to take my spot. I'm going to make them regret what they just did,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And of course, I didn't realize Jason Aldean was as badass as he was back then. But So we opened up the show for him, and it happened just so happened that there was a lady there that was tied in really well with Jason's producer, who was Michael Knox. And so she talked to me after the show, and she said, I really like what I heard, the harmonies. I love the harmony. She said, I want you guys to meet a friend of mine. And then she's telling me about Michael. And of course, man, y'all know how that goes. We have been approached by people before, they blow smoke, but you never hear from them again. And, so I had learned at that point in time, I covered a lot of years in just a few sentences, right? But that point in time, I took stuff like that off. Well, Michael Knox called me the next morning and he said, hey man, I'd love for you guys to come up to Nashville actually he came and heard us play somewhere first in Mississippi. And I don't remember where. Could have been at Rick's or at Studio 55-1. But we met with Michael. He talked us into coming to Nashville, setting up a couple of shows for us to play around town and like Tootsie's and places like that. And, we were just excited to be in Nashville, so we didn't care. And
now what year was this?
There you go with a year again.
And the reason I say that, because I remember him coming to see us at Partners, and he was on his way. He stayed for like a set, and then he was on his way to come see you guys at Greenwood.
Man, I think we signed in 2006. So that would have to be late 2004, maybe something like that.
Yeah, this was, okay. Well, then that was years before. Okay. All right.
2005. And so that's pretty much where Crossin Dixon started in a nutshell. That was the beginning of it. Well, it was still Coyote Wild, but we went back and forth to Nashville, playing shows. He'd get labels to come out and hear us. And man, I won't ever forget, we were set up, I think it was called Sound Check Studios, if I'm not mistaken, there in Nashville. And it's where a lot of the touring acts would set up their stuff and rehearse for their tours before they went out. And so, we were just walking around looking at all this stuff. And I won't ever forget, there was freaking Brad Paisley and them were in one room right over here rehearsing. I'm like, oh my, this is so crazy. And I forgot who else was it? Brad Paisley was there that day. I think Dierks Bentley was there that day with his crew and they were working. And Michael had given us some original songs to work up. And Guitar Slinger was one of them. And so we had worked those up and more or less doing a showcase in Sound Check Studios. And I'll never forget, Records came in, one of their representatives came in to see us. Sony came in, Warner Brothers came in. And, beforehand, he didn't really tell us who all was coming because he didn't want to make us nervous and scared. And I would have been. And we played in front of all these people, man. And when we got through, we got down. He said, I need to have a talk with you guys. We went out in the hallway and he was talking to us and told us that, man, you guys I just had 3 labels offer to sign you. And we were like, well, we thought he was kidding. We didn't know. Yeah. And of course, we were just blown away. And all that emotions running through you at the same time. You're excited and you're questioning your ability, your potential, your talent level. Is a talent there? Anybody that's ever sang as a kid dreamed of something like that happening. I used to have dreams about riding on a tour bus when I was little. And I'll never forget, I used to cut my parents' grass all the time. And I would have headphones in listening to George Strait. It was a live version. And every time you could hear the crowd cheering, I'd be out cutting grass in Sturgis, Mississippi in the middle of the day in July and have chills come up on my arms. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People going down the road thought I was, look at this idiot, just mouth going 9 singing, throwing his head back. And
heck yeah.
All that stuff. But all of that came to a head right there. And reality started to set in real slowly. And then I started, I'm going to have to move, or what am I going to have to do? I'm going to relocate. And, I don't want to be, I don't know. There's no words to explain it. And so from that point, we had to make a decision what route we wanted to go. Now, Michael was obviously producing Jason Aldean, who was with Broken Bow Records. And Broken Bow was who he was really pushing us more towards, because Warner Brothers or Sony or someone like that would probably realistically shelve a new artist for a year or two. And just till they got to that point, they got ready to release something on them that they thought was going to stick. And so he said, the advantage with Broken Bow is they don't have a band yet signed on. They had Craig Morgan, they had Jason Aldean, Lila McCann, if you guys remember who Lila McCann was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, there was another artist on there. No, I just don't remember. Oh, I remember, it was Cherie Austin. If you guys remember Cherie Austin.
Remember that name.
From Australia. Little brunette chick.
No. Her name was Shalee or something.
No, you're thinking of Shalacy.
That was the girl he brought with him to Partners that night and was going to Greenwood.
Yeah, and she was trying to get going as a solo artist.
Gotcha. Okay. And okay. So, and some things here. Was there not talks of any artist development and stuff before they put you out there and all that?
Nope, not one bit.
Wow.
That's what's so crazy about it. That's why the guy from Broken Bow, pretty much Benny Brown, who owned Broken Bow Records, sent John Lobo over there to watch us. And John Lobo, he told John Lobo, he said, if you like them, sign them. I mean, so he was putting all trust in the Lobo. And Michael was telling us what a big deal that was, because, and we, I'm like, well, why is that such a big deal? Why is that a big risk for him? And he said, because it's going to take about $1 million to develop you guys. I mean, that only talk of artist development. And we said, what do you mean by develop? And they said, well, you got to get the record out. You got to get the record recorded. You got to pay for studio time, everything that comes along with that. And they're going to have to send you to radio stations. I mean, you're not sending one guy in one hotel room around to do radio shows. You're sending 4 now.
Uh-huh.
There were 4 of us on the contract.
Oh, okay. So, okay. All right.
So
I did not know. I thought it was just Michael Bowl was on it too then.
No, well, actually, Michael wasn't on it at first. Joe Austin was on it at first. It was
okay.
Charlie and Joe Austin. Mm-hmm. And some things happened with the label, and Joe had to leave us. And then Michael Bowl, they decided to bring Michael Bowl up and on. And so Michael was with us for the majority of all of the radio, actually. Joe was still with us when the record was being recorded, and he was in on a lot of that. And but then, the radio tour, and I don't know if you boys know much about a radio tour, but
so say that one more time.
I don't know what y'all know about a radio tour, but I said, let me tell you something about a radio tour. Well, let me back up a little bit, because first of all right, so we signed our record deal. All right, we went with Broken Bow Records. So next step is to get the album recorded. That took, I don't remember, probably a month and a half. I mean, we were in Nashville all the time and just going back and forth to Mississippi whenever we had a chance to go home. Got the album recorded. Now it's time to start the radio tour. We didn't have any idea what a radio tour was until they sent us a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, let me tell you something. There were days when we were probably on 4 or 5 different flights a day.
Wow.
And I can remember playing a show at Rick's Cafe in Starkville. And then I can remember having to leave Rick's, drive straight to Jackson, Mississippi, to the airport to get on a plane to Florida to play a show with from one of the radio stations there. As soon as we got through playing, we didn't get to see Tim McGraw, see him perform or anything. We got on the plane as soon as we got to performing, flew straight to LA to the House of Blues to do a show with Craig Morgan that night. And that's all without going to sleep or anything like that. So friends that thought that, oh, you're a millionaire now, you got it made. That was the brokest time of my life, was during that time, because you're playing for free everywhere you go.
Right.
Everywhere. And that was for about a year and a half.
That's brutal, man.
It was, we still had truck payments to make.
Yeah.
Back home we had to pay. Now they'd give us a per diem, and we saw all of the country. I can think of, we probably did a show in every state but 4: Alaska, Hawaii, New Mexico, And there was one more, and I'm trying to think of what it was. Maybe New Jersey. I can't remember. But everywhere else we had a show. And it was it's awesome to say you go to all these places and you live that life and you do that because you stay in these nice hotels. You're on a tour bus sometimes, you're on a plane sometimes, you're eating at all these nice restaurants with all these radio people and people that are influential in your music because they're the ones that are going to make you or break you as radio. And that's it. Because if they don't play you, nobody's hearing you.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you get to go to all these places, but you don't see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't see them. You're in and out. You're in and out. And I mean, and you miss home. It's actually pretty, to be honest. And I'm not trying to be negative about it. The music business is great. And it's great to get to do all those things. But that was probably one of the loneliest times of my life as well, to be honest. Because you start missing your brother's birthday party, stuff that, that nobody else thinks about, they take for granted, or hanging out with the family on July 4th somewhere, or cooking out on the back patio at mom and dad's house, cooking hamburgers or whatever, I mean, all that stuff, it's just crazy how all the stuff that we take for granted on daily lives, just all, you start missing it. You know what I mean? Makes you appreciate everything back home a lot more.
And not that any of those things, you can't put a dollar amount on those events anyway, all those things are important anyway, but
that's right.
I'm sure it would have been a little easier to swallow if it was at least benefiting financially from it.
That's exactly right.
Have to be gone.
That's exactly right. And that would have helped a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong now. We played some high profile shows. Gosh. And we got paid good money on some of them, but those were few and far between during that time frame.
Sure.
I'll tell you what people have asked me before, what's the most people you've ever played for at one time? And I can tell you exactly when it was. It was I don't remember the name of the festival, but I remember we left Nashville on a tour bus, and next morning we were somewhere in Ohio. And I looked out the door, and there's literally probably 20 something tour buses lined up. And I'm like, holy crap. And we had picked Michael Knox up somewhere that night while we were all asleep. And so I got up the next morning, like, Michael, where are we at? And he said, you're about to play for 55,000 people. And I said, do what? Come again?
What a rush. What a rush.
Here's a funny thing about that. Reba McEntire was there. Jason Aldean was there. Who was Trace Adkins? Who else was it? Man, there was a ton of, remember everybody. Kelly Pickler. I remember Kelly Pickler was there. I don't know. I just remember getting ready to go out and play, and I was walking up behind this huge curtain from the bus and had gotten dressed, and Charlie was running. He had come back out of the curtain running toward the bus. I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to get a shot of Jaeger. And I said, why now? And he said, look out that curtain right now. I won't ever forget that. And I stuck my head through that curtain, just looked, and I turned around, and I was right behind him. Right to the
I'm sure. Nerves, man.
It was nerves until you got out there. And then it's pretty much the mindset of
king of the world.
Or you look like an idiot right now.
Yeah, do or die.
You got to do. That's right.
Get on with it.
That's right. But it was an awesome experience.
What people don't realize is, I say people, a lot of people, is this stuff you're talking about is absolute gold to anybody in the entertainment business. And some people that just ain't, that just really want to know, well, I remember he was in Crossin Dixon. I've heard they were, whatever. They don't, all this stuff you're talking about, man, most people don't have a clue about all that stuff. And a lot of them don't know about a record deal or what, what you have to do with some of that stuff. And they look, I know a lot of people, because I'm sure you experienced that. Like you said, they thought, well, you've made it, and I've heard Charlie talk about it. I heard Brandon talk about, you've made it, and because they've seen you on CMT, right? But you're hoping to get back to Partners or wherever it is the next night to make you money. you know.
That's exactly right.
So
yeah, the average fan don't see all that work behind it and the struggle. You know, it's
No.
just seeing up the stage and the party, and that's all. You know,
That's
all they
right.
know.
For that 2 hours they're in there drinking, having fun with us, they think, man, that'd be great to do all the time. Well, they don't see what happens before or after
Right.
when they're gone and going to bed, and we're still up driving somewhere. You know.
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
But don't get me wrong. Now, I love it just as much as you guys do, but it's a lot more to it than people are aware of.
Yeah, no doubt. And so, all right, was this a development deal with these people? They wanted to develop you along the way, or was it like, hey, we're gonna this is the deal set in stone, or was it this is how it's gonna go as it goes, and we'll see where it's headed kind of thing?
I've still got a copy of our contract that we signed, and I'm pretty sure it was a 3-album deal. But the label had an option to opt out at whenever,
Mm-hmm.
whenever they wanted to. But yeah, it was a 3-album deal. It wasn't a developmental deal. It was all or nothing.
More or less
much.
just waiting on a song to really hit
That's
or
right.
something to take that next step to
That's
do better
exactly
shows.
right.
All right.
Right.
So when you went on the radio tour, it was already supporting Guitar Slinger, or what had happened? What's the time frame of some of this stuff? Not necessarily years, but just how did it all? The alignment of it.
So when Guitar Slinger, when we got ready to start making a push for Guitar Slinger, we went to the East Coast first. And some of these radio tours, you would literally go to the radio station and you would meet up with the program director, the music director, whoever the top dogs were. And, they would tell you, the label would kind of coach you on stuff of, hey, pay attention to this guy, pay attention to his pictures on the wall, on his desk, like any salesman would do, walking in somewhere. Try to remember something about their kids next time you talk to them, that kind of thing. And man, sometimes we'd go in an office and sit up in a break room, sit on 4 stools. Michael had his cajon, Charlie and Brandon had the guitars, and we would sing Guitar Slinger and whatever else off the album we wanted to do, and that's pretty much it. Man, I can even remember we went to this guy in Michigan, and I don't remember the program director's name, but he didn't want us to come to the station. He wanted us to go to an Applebee's with him. And man, we went up in the middle of Applebee's, and it was slam packed with people. And here we are walking in. Charlie's got his cowboy hat on. He always wore, and we had on. Looked like we were ready to go on stage somewhere. We're walking in the middle of Applebee's in Michigan, bunch of rednecks from Mississippi, and so the guy says, "Well, man, meeting you guys. I'm glad y'all came. Would y'all mind doing me a favor before you leave?" And no, not at all, dude. He said, y'all mind singing right here in Applebee's? I was like, are you serious? And that was his deal. He wanted us to sing right there in Applebee's. And so we just pulled up 4 tall chairs, sat up and got the guitars out and went banging around, picking and grinning.
Oh my God.
Forget that. And that was our radio visit for that station. And in the middle of Applebee's. And I don't remember we ran in Michigan, but I won't never forget that.
Dude, how could you? What did the people eating in there? What did they think? Like, dude, hold up on that steak. Look at this shit going on over here.
Check out these guys. I don't know if they're about to rob us or what.
Wasn't the typical background music during the lunch hour, that's for sure.
So we did it. And I mean, every station visit was pretty much something different. You were in a small room with, sometimes it'd be 2 people, sometimes it would be 20. And then sometimes they would have like a fan appreciation thing. If they were already playing your music a little bit, they would give stuff away to certain callers, and they would come in, they could sit in on the conference room and listen to, and that was pretty cool. And, but I won't ever forget, in the middle of that radio tour, I think we were in Columbia, South Carolina. And the first time Guitar Slinger was getting on the radio was 6.3 in Jackson, Mississippi. And, oh gosh. Anyway, he did the introduction, and we're all laying in the hotel room floor and listening to, and about that time, all you hear is bad weather had rolled through, and in the middle of the song, and it cut off and never got to play.
Oh man. What luck.
I knew right there. I said, I don't know if that's a good sign, boys.
Oh
That's
man.
crazy, man.
So did you know, and I think I've told you this before, but Guitar Slinger, I was there when y'all was shooting the video at
Hey,
Rick's.
Yes.
And you know, freaking nobody, you know, I never did anything, you know, and I just started a band, you know, whatever. And
Yeah.
we were supposed to be, I think, playing at Rick's like the next night or something, you know, and didn't know our tails from a hole in the ground, you know.
Oh, that's crazy, man. I'm gonna tell you what, that was really a cool deal for me because, you know, I grew up in Sturgis, which is right down the road from Starkville, where Rick's
Yeah.
is at.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty much home base for us. And so to be able to shoot your first video for CMT, you know, at home and from home, your friends, your family, and you know, Rick and all them. Rick, I can remember Rick used to let me play in Rick's when nobody but my family showed up to watch, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just to be able to bring that there was really special because I mean, it's home. I mean, you know, not everybody gets to shoot their first video around, you know, their home crowd.
Yeah.
That was and you talking about experience. Let me tell you, man, that's a full day's work right there. It's not just go over there and lip sync. No, there's a lot more to it. We got there early that morning, and of course the filming crew had come in from Nashville like 2 days prior, and so
it was legit, dude. It was a big film crew.
Oh,
I remember seeing all that, you know.
it was nice, but I won't ever forget them walking us up the stairs. And I probably shouldn't even tell off on myself on this, but they had 4 stools up and all these lights in this room upstairs with Rick somewhere, and they said, "Come in here for makeup," and I'm like, "Makeup? Are you serious?" And of course, all of our buddies heard them saying that, so they're taking pictures, you know, dogging us out, laughing. But that was an awesome experience. And what amazed me was I think they only let like 200 people in, you know, for the shoot, but they made it look like it's a freaking 1,000 people in there, you know, the way they do the cameras and stuff. And that was a 1-day shoot. It was a long day, but it was a fun day. Oh gosh, I probably shouldn't even tell this, but we were doing one of the last scenes. And if you guys know Michael Bowl at all, have ever been around him, you know what a character he is. And so we were shooting a scene where we were getting off the bus, and Ben Craig's old Silver Eagle. And Ben had the Silver Eagle there, and that was the bus we were shooting on that day when we did the bus scene. And we were getting off that bus, and Michael said, "Tell them, radio back and tell them that we want to do that scene one more time." And I said, "What are you doing? You know, what you got some up your sleeve, obviously." And he just grinned. He said, "Just trust me, Hawk." He called me Hawk. "Just trust me, Hawk." So here we go, Charlie, Brandon, me, and then Michael's behind me, and we're walking off the bus, and then the crew just busts out laughing. And he had walked off the bus holding just a guitar case with nothing on but his cowboy boots. And as soon as we parted off, you could just see him. He had a guitar case. He turned around backwards where you just see his butt, and he walked off. They didn't use that one in the video though.
And okay, so I got multiple things here. Now, so that was okay. So that was 07. Is that right? About 07?
That sounds right.
When that was filmed. And yeah, so I remember they had like, it was really like all the par cans, they took all the gels off of it, was all white. And then they put all these lights at the back that were like really, really strong. And I bet I heard Guitar Slinger 250 times that night.
That's what we were talking about with your cousin that was with you that night the other day. Shout out to Double L Logan Lowry. But he said, I hadn't heard Guitar Slinger when we went, but by God, I knew the words to it when we left.
But I promise you, we got all of it we wanted that night too.
I'm sure.
Well, it seems like you did the song. They got the footage they wanted, and then you guys done like a little set or something after that for everybody that came.
I think we played like a 45-minute show for everybody that was there, just like for everybody being a part of it and coming out and supporting the video.
Yeah.
It was a fun night, man.
And you, I mean, y'all still play Rick's to this day. You know, I mean, y'all, you know, you and Rick, long
Me and Rick,
time.
we go way back. Rick's one of my closest friends, man. He's and obviously knows what he's doing in the bar business because he's been around.
No doubt.
He's one of the few that's still hanging in there and doing good. Now, he hadn't done any live music in a while. I was just talking to him the other day about that, and he's hoping to get kicked back off. I'm hoping he said August, hopefully, September-ish.
Yeah.
Man, that's still a good ways out.
I know, man. I miss that place.
All these politics, man. Politics now,
Yeah, don't even get me started on that one.
Okay, so when you said Hawk,
real.
I laughed because I'm wondering how this name came about. I don't know what's behind it, but I asked Nathan because he was telling me about it, and I laughed. He laughed about it, so I was like, all right, I've got to ask him about this Hawk. How'd this name come along here? Yeah.
Ooh, is this a family show?
This is
No.
this is a bit edit.
Well, long story short, one of my buddies said that when we used to go to the clubs and stuff, this is before we were doing music or anything like that. He said you look like a hawk up there perched on a limb, sitting up where you can see the whole dance floor, just trying to pick one out. You're gonna swoop. And we'll leave it right there.
And then, okay, since we're talking about crazy stuff here, when you mentioned that about him being naked in the the bus pulling off, whatever, all I could think about was these Instagram pics that popped up not too, a couple of years ago or something, a year or two ago of you, and it was like, who in the world is trying to mess with him on here? I never forget seeing him. I was like, oh man. But then again, it stirred up a lot of folks, and I'm a marketing guy, so I was like, man, hey, it works,
Yeah, my mom wasn't too happy about all those. I think that was birthday time. Yeah, we usually have a pretty good little battle going on. Everybody's going light on each other the past year or so, thank God. But I guess, it's like they say, I mean, why put yourself in that position? You let somebody take the picture. So,
all right. So
there were some good ones going around.
And back to partners. Okay. A lot of people maybe didn't play partners. I know a lot of people now that's going, never got to experience old big partners, but Danny Arbuckle was a character. And we got a,
Yes, he was.
We could have a whole podcast on our old buddy Danny.
Yes, we could. You could literally do a series on all the bars probably around that we both played, and we could have each bar and swap stories.
Man. Okay, so when did this? So we're about at say 07 right here, and you guys did the guitar slinger thing, and then you went and you did the radio touring and stuff like that.
Right.
You were doing radio tours, but you was also doing some shows and some festivals and things like that too for them.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
When we got to come home, we got to play some shows and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm telling you, man, when we would we would fly out. We were counting down the days till we were flying back in. I mean, we were, we wanted to be home and make money. And I mean, not to tour, don't get me wrong. I probably portrayed that as a nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare. It was just a lot more to it than we realized what it was going to be. You know what I mean? And, but like J Rob said a while ago, if you make money, it'd been a totally different ball game out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard to, we love what we're doing and we enjoy it, but you also, then you're stressing out, okay, well, how am I going to make this month when I get back home? You know what I mean? Or that kind of thing. And, that's not something you should really be thinking about. But that's when they say you've got to sacrifice in this business, they meant it. I mean, you've got to sacrifice. And that's cut and dry. I mean, that's it. That's hitting the nail on the head.
Right.
Make sacrifices. If you're going to be in this business long enough, you're going to sacrifice. And that's just part of it. There's no way around it. No ifs, ands, buts about it. I mean, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. Sacrifices have to be made. And I mean, it is what it is.
Pretty much got to live an entire lifestyle. It's not like, just going to a job, you got to live that lifestyle and be all about it.
That's right. And it ain't all glitz and glamour.
Right.
If you yourself, like, I mean, look where Jason Aldean is now, or look where Luke Bryan is now. I mean, those guys are pretty much calling their own shots, you know, but for years, you don't call your shots. You do what that label wants you to do when they want you to do it. And don't get me wrong, they were great people, really good people. We loved every one of our reps we were out on the road with in whatever region we were in, but it can be very demanding on you, man. It's when you got 4 personalities you're dealing with too. Don't get me wrong, we all loved each other. We were brothers, we got along. But I mean, it comes a time, you know, when we got home, we always used to say, when we flew back into Jackson, like, look, don't call me, don't let you meet.
I see you when I gotta see you.
Yeah.
Hardest part
I'll see you in
about it.
California next week.
We've said this
Yeah.
every podcast, and I'm willing to bet money we're going to say it in every one of them. But the hardest part about a band is keeping a band together.
Ain't no doubt.
You know, it's not all the stuff that people think it is that we can tear you apart. It's keeping it together. You know, it's kind of like a marriage in a way, especially if you're really doing it and really, really trying to do something. You know, now, I've never been to that level. I've never been to that level, so I can't speak as far as that. But what it looks like to me is outsider looking in, if they can get to where they can get control of their own, like you said, the label really, really pushes them, gets them where they're really, you know, but then they want to start maybe calling their own shots of their life. They maybe try to, you know, buy or switch or whatever it takes to try to get more control over their contract and over their life. You know,
that's exactly right. You know,
but
one of the biggest things that Broken Bow wanted us to do that we never did, that probably would have made it better on us, is they wanted us to pack up and move to Nashville. And as a whole, we just weren't all able to do that, you know, together. And I mean, everybody had families, you know what I mean? And it's, I mean, I wasn't married at the time or anything like that, but Michael was, he had kids. Brandon was, Charles wasn't married, but I mean, he had some kids back here, you know, at home that he would spend time with and they needed, you know. It's just, it's, I think if you're going to do it and you're going to make a good living doing it, you got to be willing to move there. I mean, you've got to. It's just too much back and forth. And, you know, they'd give us, I can remember times, man, we'd get home and we'd get a phone call. You were scared to answer the phone because it was like, hey, we need you at the airport tomorrow morning. You know, something's just, and I mean, we did it, but it would have been a lot easier if we'd have been there. You know what I mean?
Right.
how long did this go on for?
Man,
That type of life?
we put Slinger out, and then we did Make You Mine. After that, we never shot a video for Make You Mine.
You said it was number 1 or number 2 in Texas.
At one point in time, Make You Mine was number 1 or number 2 in the state of Texas. And for whatever reason, the label never sent us out there to do a show. Now we questioned that, but I mean, we were green in the business, so we didn't really understand why, but I'm sure they had their reasons. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody because that wasn't my job to schedule those shows. But so we did Make You Mine, never shot a video for it. Bird Dog was the next song we shot a video for. We shot that out in Dallas, Texas. It ended up being a 2-day shoot, unlike Guitar Slinger. It was a really, really, really fun shoot. We shot the first day at a place called Grasshopper Ranch, and it was about 30 minutes outside of Dallas. And beautiful place, man. They brought in they had hired these girls to be in the video. And I mean, they were ugly, you know, real ugly, but
smart man.
So anyway, we did that shoot that day, and then the next day, second part of the shoot, we did it in a penthouse in downtown Dallas, and it was just this wide open white room, no furniture, anything like that was in it, and that was a really cool experience. But man, I'm gonna tell you, you know, I told you Guitar Slinger was a long day. Well, a 2-day shoot, buddy, that wears you out mentally and physically. I mean, it was an experience that I loved, but it drained us. I mean, it literally, we were ready to go home and go to bed as soon as we got through, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've heard, you know, people doing that type of stuff. I mean, modeling and all that stuff. They said it just wears you completely out, having to be camera aware and
change clothes. Yeah, every 5 minutes, and I mean, it was a lot of fun, but it'll wear you out, bud. I'm telling you.
Yeah, John Schneider was telling us, a lot about all the how hard work all that stuff is and everything.
Yeah, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
He knows.
So this was okay. So how and you said this lasted for how many? Okay. Y'all also went to the ACMs or CMAs?
CMAs. Yeah, that was that was a fun night. Talking about having your eyes opened up. I mean, we go in and we get seated kind of early. You do the red carpet thing, and here you are again. You got these 4 guys from Mississippi walking around. We're looking around, and, trying to figure out what's going on. People asking questions, snapping pictures, and oh God, I could do a whole podcast on that day. And then
I'm sure some of the people you saw and all that kind of stuff. I mean, or sitting beside or around or whatever.
You remember 2 Foot? You guys remember 2 Foot Fred on the Big and Rich videos?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Had a little cowboy
he's in the
hat
seat right there. Yeah, he's sitting right by me, and then right next to him is Kid Rock. And so I'm like, pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
So that was a good time. And the Eagles played that night. And so
wow.
Them right there in front of them, man, it was awesome, dude.
Now
we're sitting there.
John Rich was actually one of the writers on one of the songs on that album y'all did, right? With Stomp.
I'm trying to remember. No, I don't think it was Stomp. It was oh God, Charles. Dude, I don't remember right off the top of my head which one. I don't think it was Stomp. And I could be, maybe it was Stomp.
I remember looking earlier and I could have swore it said Stomp.
Maybe it was Stomp. Yeah, that's the one Brandon did. Brandon did lead on that one and did a good job. That song's rocking. That song made it on a PlayStation game too.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
It sure did. It was one of the NASCAR games.
Nice.
I thought we'd have got a free copy, but we didn't.
And who else? Was it Lee Bryce was one of the writers too on one?
Lee Bryce was a writer on one of them. Man, a lot of big names. John Stone. Oh God, what's the guy's name? He was one of the writers on Make You Mine and Guitar Slinger. I can see his face. I just can't remember the name right off the top of my head.
That sounds like me.
Such a talented dude too, man. God, all of them were. I mean, that's one thing about that process. Michael Knox had those songs. He was known as being a big song guy in Nashville. Mm-hmm. So he had this book of just song after song after song after song. And so before we even had a deal, we had a whole album ready to record, and it was crazy, man. I mean, it all happened so fast.
Yeah.
It was a very rare thing in Nashville.
Okay. So at what point, I'm trying to figure out where the top of this mountain would have been in that whole Broken Bow relationship, and then where everything kind of came down. So where would the height, where would the top of it be of like, okay, right here's where we probably could have really went to stardom, or then it started coming out. Where do you feel like that place was?
I'll tell you exactly where it was. It was during Guitar Slinger. It was during the push for Guitar Slinger. Guitar Slinger was climbing the charts. It completely jumped the 40s and went straight into the 30s. And I don't even remember what it got to, if it was 28, 29, 30. I mean, it never got top 15, top 10, but it was climbing and heading in that direction. And John Loba, as soon as he left Broken Bow and went to work for Scott Borchetta, which was Taylor Swift's label. And as soon as he left Broken Bow, it never climbed another spot. He was the radio guy that had all the connections. And it kind of flatlined once he left Broken Bow, dude. And Michael Knox told us, he said, now may be a time, it's early in his career, now may be a time to look at trying to get out of your deal and switching a label, going to somebody else, because he said, I'm not 100% confident in what Broken Bow is going to do without Loba heading up the radio stuff. And so we were like, well, man, we don't know, you tell us, you know, we're green at this game. And there was I heard a lot of stories from different people, and I can't say what was true and what wasn't true, but you could just kind of feel after Bird Dog that things weren't the same. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there got to be some tension between us, all of us. And then there got to be some tension between Knox and the label, and then the label and us, and then us and Knox. And so it just got to be one of those deals to where we felt like we were out there still doing our thing, but we just felt like we were just kind of spinning our wheels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this was like, this is like 4 years in, 5 years in, something like that. And man, it just got to the point we decided, you know what? Let's take it home. Let's take it to the house. Everybody was kind of burnt out. I know it sounds crazy, 4 or 5 years. Not most people are burnt out by that point, but we were told, Jason Aldean told us, we were talking to him one day. He said, you guys have been doing, he said, I could have never done a radio like y'all did. He said, they didn't do me that way. He said, they sent me radio, I went and did an interview, then I would go play a show at a venue that night and get paid for it. And we were like, do what? Come again? What? And so he said, they sent you guys out because you guys could set up and you had the harmonies, so they took advantage of it. And they set you up in these rooms and made you play for these people. I could pull it off. He said, that's not something I could do. And he said, that's why your radio tour was 1.5 years long and everybody else's is usually 3 or 4 months.
Well, that would seem like the better scenario, to even if you were like opening up for him or a label mate or doing a smaller club show or something, go perform on the radio that day, draw people to the place and, have you a gig that you can actually make a little bit of money at.
That's what you would think. That makes perfect sense. And I don't know why it wasn't structured that way. I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those deals where they were trying to send us to so many places so fast that, they didn't have time to set the shows up and make it happen like that. But, there's a guy that I know that's been in the music business for years. His name's Marty Gamblin. He was actually the one who discovered Alan Jackson and managed him for his career, and Brian White and Glenn Campbell. And Marty, Marty and I stayed in touch. And I was telling Marty about how they were doing the radio tour. And he said, I just don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so there were a lot of questions, going out through that whole ordeal with Broken Bow about why they're doing this, doing that, who said this, who said that, that kind of thing, And it got to be such like a stressful situation. It almost started becoming unhealthy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
For us out there on the road and doing that kind of stuff. It got to where there was resentment from, in between us and the label or us and Knox and it didn't need to be there. It's just just not a healthy environment to be in. And it's got to the point where we were like, let's just go home, and that's what we did. We went home. And a lot of folks probably say we're crazy for doing it. But if you weren't there, you didn't know it, you didn't, it's hard to say what you would have done.
Exactly. I mean? Yeah, it's a situation. Unless you're there, you couldn't say one way or another. Now, did you guys, right, when you got signed, did you end up hiring a manager or anything, or were y'all pretty much managing yourself?
Yeah,
Knox kind of de facto manager or something?
Knox was the manager and producer, which the label did it that to begin with because they said that, contradictory or that kind of,
Yeah.
We didn't see it that way because Knox was the guy that got us to Nashville in the first. So everything he said was the Bible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and Knox was good to us. Good guy. He knows the business. But I think maybe him doing producing and managing might not have been the best idea, but that's the route we chose, at the time. If we could go back and do some things different, of course we would. We've already talked about that before.
Wouldn't we all? But
yeah.
It is what it is.
Could have, would have, but and that's kind of where the story of Crossin Dixon kind of ended right there. I mean, we still talk to each other when we see each other. We're not enemies. We don't hate each other. I still consider those guys brothers. I mean, I can't help but you still love them. I spent so much time with them. Like I said earlier, you're married to them,
Yeah.
And I wish them, well in whatever they're doing. But I miss those times. I miss those shows. But it's, I'm at a point in my life now where I've got a wife and two kids, And I've got a great band I'm with now. And I mean, I'm happy. You know, I'm perfectly content where I'm at in life.
That's great, man.
Absolutely. I know all about it and about that. So, but did you run into any contract situations with trying to leave at that point and legalities with all of that, you know?
No, because the label had pretty much shelved us at that point. So there's, I mean, I think legally we're still, you know, on the Broken Bow label. Crossin Dixon is, even though there's not a Crossin Dixon at the moment. We're still, you know, on that label, but and they own the master to the record. But it's just one of those deals to where, you know, if they're not doing anything with us, we could go on and do whatever we want to do. You know, I mean, we couldn't obviously perform, or I mean, not perform, but like try to sell anything with a Crossin Dixon name without having some kind of contractual obligation to the label. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not sure after a certain time period if all that's, you know, depleted. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I've never really looked into that, but I know Guitar Slinger is still getting played at certain events and downloaded and stuff like that. And I do know that I hadn't seen any checks from it in a while. Yeah. Somebody's getting paid on it. So.
Right.
Now that was what, 2009, maybe 2010 when you guys decided
2010, 2010, I think.
Okay. And I want to make sure I'm covering everything in that whole time frame there. Who all did y'all open up for during that time?
Oh,
that you can remember playing with or whatever, you know.
Tim McGraw, Jason Aldean, Craig Morgan, Luke Bryan, Dirks Bentley, Rodney Akins. Oh man, we did some shows with Lady A when they first started out. I know I'm forgetting a ton, dude.
Yeah, some old schoolers maybe, like John Anderson. Didn't you know?
Yeah, we did a show with John. We sure did.
Nice.
Out in Florida. I want to forget about that.
You're welcome, J-Rock.
I'm trying to think who else. There's been a bunch of them, man. It's yeah. I wish I had like a record book of everything listed down.
Well, I mean, I've got a bunch of names here, but I think maybe some of these were with the Jason Miller Band, you know, later.
Yeah, there's been some of them too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got on here Eric Johnson, Driving and Crying, the Band Perry, Dustin Lynch, Diamond Rio, Brantley Gilbert, Easton Corbin, Brothers Osborne, Jeff Bates, yep. Doug Stone, Rodney Atkins, Joe D. Messina, Frank Foster.
Yep. Oh, Frank.
But I know some of those are later than what we're talking about.
Right.
And oh yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. All right. So yeah, I remember one of these. I was there. The Doug Stone deal. That was Doug Stone. I was always a huge fan of, his old ballads and all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
Just seeing him there in that atmosphere and stuff, it was just really weird for me. It was just like, man, talk about being, at a point where you think somebody is on top, or whoever it may be, right? I mean, I've heard of people talk about Earl Thomas Conley, and and you listen to all that old stuff by Earl Thomas Conley, it's like, man, this guy was just a poet. He was like, I mean, just awesome stuff that just cuts deep and just hit after hit after hit, and then you hear about him playing at some little small place in nowhere, Mississippi or whatever. And you're like, man, what happened to Earl Thomas Conley? You know what I mean? It's like, and Nathan was telling me about a brawl that happened later that night. Me and Courtney, I guess, had already left. And after I talked to Doug Stone there and that's it. He said the brawl happened. He said, "Oh, Doug just kept playing." Tearing
well, it wasn't the first time he came into that situation.
It's almost like those guys. It's almost like that's where they started. You know what I mean? It's like it goes full circle. and they come back and they finish in those places they started.
Mm.
The guys that are lucky enough to do it that long. That's what I truly.
That's true. That's true.
Well, after all that thing, when y'all came home, man, I mean, were you just like sick of it and didn't want to fool with anything anymore? Or did you put your band together pretty soon thereafter?
Questioned whether or not I really even wanted to do it anymore. But then I got to talking to a couple of guys, Jamie Bright and Nathan Spears, and found out they were interested in coming on board. And I knew both of them were really talented. Nathan's an awesome drummer. Jamie's a heck of a guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a beast.
And so when they were interested in coming on board, I thought, I talked it over with Morgan. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this thing another shot and just see what happens. And we've been fortunate enough, man, we've been playing almost 12 years together. That's longer than Cody Wild or Crossin Dixon were together.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all butted heads on some stuff, and that's gonna happen. But those guys are I'm surrounded with as much talent now as I ever have been. I'll say it. And they are great guys. They're brothers. I love all of them, and we're still having fun doing it.
Yeah, they are great guys, man. Great guys, very, very super, super talented. I can tell you that firsthand, dealing with them. Okay, so this was what, 2012?
2011, late 11, 12. This band got going, and we just do what anybody does from the get-go. You start rehearsing, learn songs, get sets put together. I won't ever forget our first show was going to be at Club 43, when Derek still had it, and Derek Hudson's still alive, and boy, do I miss old Derek. And I won't ever forget, Derek said, come on, y'all play this Saturday night, and I need a band. I said, Derek, we don't have enough material. He said, well, you'll have it ready by this weekend. Just come on. I said, all right, put us down. Man, I bet we got over there. We didn't have about an hour and 20 minutes worth of material ready. We were over in that trailer changing clothes, nervous, sweating, scared. They're like, what are we going to do? Maybe they'll be drunk enough, an hour, 15 minutes into it, we just start over again. I know the difference.
That is awesome. So
we got through it somehow.
That was right there. So that at the very beginning, it was you, Nathan, Jamie, and who else was there?
Me, Nathan, Jamie, John, Andy. Playing bass was a guy that used to play bass with Nathan and him and Rico in the Border Patrol, Rico, and it was that was it, I think, unless I'm leaving somebody out, and I very well could be. But I think it was 5 of them.
Okay, so John Andy was there at that time.
John Andy was there. He sure was.
Okay.
And I think John Clark might have played with us that night. I think he might have been playing acoustic guitar, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, I didn't know how all that really got going. So let's change gears a second. Yeah, because we kind of skipped over this, and I meant to ask this before, but mentors, not mentors, who did you like? Who did you like when you was coming up? I always, and I think I told you this before, felt what's their names? The Bluest Eyes in Texas. Restless Heart. I always got that feeling, from you, and obviously the Eagles and stuff. But what who do you?
Man, the first album I ever had, and it's when I was a little boy, my parents gave to me, was the Bee Gees. You guys remember the Bee Gees?
Oh yeah.
Oh, love them. Still to this day.
Had the Bee Gees. That was my first album, and I wore that thing out. And then, it kind of evolved over into country, and it was George Strait's always number one, and always will be. That'll never change. But a lot of Diamond Rio, Restless Heart, Shenandoah, like that. Man, I love those bands a lot. I guess maybe it was the harmonies, but they all had their own unique sound. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
And then Britney Spears, of course. No, I'm kidding.
We all got on that bandwagon, huh?
What? All right. So the Jason Miller Band, we're talking about the past 11, or so, whatever, 10, 11, 12 years. It, it, what's some highlights there? What's some, I mean, we've all got those big shows that we've done, and we've all got some cool things. Man, I know you guys have done some stuff with Frank Foster and Joe DeMessina, but what's been some of the highlights there, during this kind of you controlling your own world kind of thing?
Man, obviously playing with Frank, we did a show with Charlie Daniels one time. I mean, that was definitely a highlight. Gosh, man. I guess just one of the things that's been a highlight to me is just watching this band develop over the years. You know what I mean? And just sticking with it, not giving up. And I mean, there's good things going on right now. I'm talking to Nathan. We're doing a record deal with Malico Music right now. We've actually recorded an album while COVID was going on, and it's in the process of being mastered and finished up right now. So we're really excited to get that out. Man, I guess just that starting over was a hassle, but just watching it grow and just seeing what, the maturity that we've all gone through as a group now. And I don't know, man, it's just been a good ride. And it's one that I thought by now that I would be ready to say, okay, I've done it. I'm kind of tired of it. After all this COVID crap hit, I started questioning things last year. But you know what? And, I pray about this stuff a lot. And some people may think it's selfish to pray, for things for your band and success. And I don't necessarily pray for success. I more or less pray, that, hey, God, you still got me doing this. So obviously I'm not done yet. There's something still going on. So, I'm just thankful for the opportunity to still be doing it, but I don't know, man. Every day is a new day with this group, and it's a new adventure. And every day, you never know what's going to happen the next day. We've got a band chat on WhatsApp, and you never ever know what's going to be on that band chat.
It's in you. Hey, look, it's in you. I mean, I don't think you should ever just, hey, look, you would be, in any of us, you'd be that guy that used to, play football on the Best That Never Was, 30 for 30. I remember them talking about taking him to an NFL game, and he was like that racehorse that was just sitting there, just sweating, watching it, just ready to go. If you was to now or any time in the near future call it quits or anything like that, man, you would be like, hey, we're missing Jason Miller is what would be happening, no doubt. And that's telling it like it is. I mean, you still got a long ways ahead, but you've got one hell of a story, even all the way up to this point that most people will never even get to, truthfully, not even close,
Well, I've been blessed with a lot of things that I don't deserve in my life, and I will be for that. But I don't know. I'm still doing it. So, it's in my blood. I can't up on it. I mean, it's just, and it's not always, well, Charles, I mean, you guys know it's you play those shows, you might not have a great attendance somewhere, and that makes you question whether, should we still be doing this? We didn't have anybody come out tonight like we thought we were going to have. I mean, it's just all kind of factors play into that, though. It's, but little things like that can definitely dampen the mood, dampen the motivation, and it's hard to get motivated again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get down and out about some things, but it's like if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. So you put on your big boy britches and keep going.
Entertainment needs you around here, and it needs you to keep going. You guys freaking, even another thing we hadn't talked about, you done the main stage at the Neshoba County Fair. I mean, shoot,
Awesome.
dude,
Awesome.
I watched the video. the other night, I remember seeing it on social media back when it happened and everything, and I was just like jealous. I mean, I was like, my God, that's freaking awesome, seeing that, and like when US and all them played there, and it's just, oh man. I mean,
you asked me about a highlight a while ago, and that should have been one of them right there, because Nathan's from that area, so I know it's a dream of his to be on that stage for that fair. And we got the opportunity to do it. We were all like, "You got to be freaking kidding me!" Of course, we started rehearsing hard and heavy for that bad boy.
Yeah.
But, man, that was, if I could go back and do that all over again, oh God, I would. Man, that was. And I'll tell you this: out of all the shows I played with Crossin, playing that in the show with the band I've gotten, man, it was right up there with all of them. I can promise.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like a full circle kind of thing.
It is.
I'm assuming.
It is, man. It was awesome.
Now tell me about working with Topher, because Topher Brown was played with the band Perry, and I actually worked with Topher a little bit on a couple of our songs, and back then, and super talented guy. Like, I mean, super talented. And so how did that come about? How was that?
Well, first of all, Topher makes me sick. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
The guy he's one of my closest friends. I love him to death. The guy can sing. The guy can sing on stage. He's one of those guys that he makes it look so easy. But Topher, he was in a band called the Colonels, and they had done some shows with us, opened up some shows with us when I was in Crossin Dixon. And so we kind of met way back then. And then, S. Miller Band got put together. Charlie Townsend, who was friends with Topher, played bass for us for a little while. Then Lucas Big, bass for a little while, and he and Topher have always been close. And so Topher was hanging around with us a lot. We were going to watching them play. They were coming to watch us and that kind of thing. And then Topher sat in and played some shows with us, and then he kind of decided, hey, I want to play with you guys for a little while. That's cool. And I said, you freaking kidding me? Yeah, it's cool. Come on. So he was with us for, I don't know, years, 2.5, 3 years, maybe even 4. But dude, he's just so he's so good at everything he does. It's just, it makes you question, why is this guy not, at the Grammys,
Yeah.
Because he's good. I mean, the guy's just talented, man.
Yep. I totally agree.
He's a good dude too.
Yep. Super good guy, man. And I tell you what, let's change gears. I know you got family support at home, because I've seen Morgan at a bunch of shows, and really nice. And she's always been super supportive. But what about the rest of your family, man? I mean, something a lot, and we've talked about this in some of the other podcasts. A lot of musicians didn't have a whole lot of family, support and stuff, and kind of wondering what I don't think I ever got to meet you family.
Yeah, my parents have, at first, back in the day when it first came about, of, hey mom, I'm going to these guys some on the weekends, and which meant I was going to be in a bar, and that kind of thing. That didn't set too well with mom.
Sure. Yeah.
As she got used to it and knew that, hey, I was doing it because I love to do it. I wasn't doing it just because I want to be in a bar drinking or, being wild or whatever, acting stupid. She saw that I loved it, and she became very supportive. My dad, he's always been supportive of it. Really, my entire family, and they've always been on board. Man, when we started going and just doing whatever, they would be there. I mean, they'd load up and come, get a hotel room and just to be there with me. And they still are. They're still supportive to this day. And Morgan and I started dating, and we got really serious and stuff. And, she knew I was doing this, and she knew I loved it. And she's been supportive, never questioned anything about it. I mean, she says she misses me. I don't think she does when I'm gone, but she does. But she's always encouraged me to, she can tell when I'm kind of down and out about things, and I may not be as motivated as I need to be. And she's kind of like that little spark. She'll get me right back in the game.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I got that same thing at home too, dude. And it is
Yeah.
priceless.
It is
Absolutely
priceless. It's a rare thing. It's very priceless.
Very rare to find somebody that's going to support you. Because it's, with all that attention of being on stage and stuff, it kind of opens up Pandora's box, and, having somebody that truly loves you and all of that type stuff. And once, with me, once you get over yourself, I think it's a perfect deal there if you got the right person and you're able to live your dream and have that family support,
Absolutely. Yeah, because it would really suck going off on playing shows if mama was at home happy about it,
Mhm. Well, that's been the demise of a whole lot of musicians.
Yes, it has.
That I've even dealt with, and it's been
That's
the
right.
demise of a lot of musicians.
What's that saying? If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
You got that right. And a lot of them just say, guys, I love music, but it just ain't for me, at that point,
Right.
So, and then others say, I'm going to find me another woman. She got to go.
There's always options.
Oh, so, talking about, one of the reasons for this podcast is to try to help some people up and coming, and to try to maybe, like I said, get your story, hear people's different stories and stuff, and maybe help some people and stuff like that. What would you tell somebody coming into this business now? I know these are the general question right here, but what would you do? What would you tell somebody to coming into this business now? Let's just start with that question first.
If they loved it, truly loved it, and were willing to sacrifice, according to how far they want to take it. But if you lay in bed at night and you dream about it, and you think you've got the talent, or the talent can be developed, I would say 100% give it all you got, but don't come in it half cocked. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Be ready and come at it hard if you're going to do it and do it right. But there's challenges, of course, but there's challenges in everything. If it was easy, everybody would want to do it. You know what I mean? And so, I would tell them give it all you got. I would say if anybody wanted to do it and you think you really believe that it's what you're supposed to be doing, you're never going to know. Would you rather be trying it now, or would you rather wait 20 years later when you're, I don't know, sitting in the nursing home saying, what if,
Why that would be the most horrible thing.
That's right. That's right. If you don't try, you'll never know. So that'd be my advice.
It's funny you say that. Me and J Rob have that conversation almost every day about, we ain't here long. So if you're going to take a chance on something, you better do it now, man.
Yeah. Failure don't hurt nearly as bad as the regret of not giving it a go.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
End of that.
All right. What would you tell them to not do?
To not do? Take shortcuts, take the easy way out. And what I mean by that is nowadays with the way social media is, you've got people coming at, if you post songs on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, there's all kind of facets out social media. People can approach you. I still have it happen now. And hey, I can do this, and this for you. But the number one red flag, and it's what I would tell everybody to this day, that if somebody's coming at you wanting to help, so they say, but yet they want you to send them this much money first, don't even time. If somebody believes in you, they're willing to invest in you. So they wouldn't be asking for money up front.
Yeah, they're going to fight. They're going to fight the fight with you.
I did that once before and had to learn the hard way. So
yeah,
it's definitely a no-no.
Yeah, that's a no-no for sure. Man, that'd be my biggest one. Sure, if I thought long enough, I could think of some other things too, but that's definitely my biggest. Don't come in and half cocked, you know. You're going to do it. Now, I mean, there might be some guys that want to do this on the weekends just for it. But if you're really serious about it and you want to do it and try to make a living out of it, I mean, you got to be willing to play for free a lot. You know, I've played for beer and food. Hey, I don't know how many times I told the guys, they're going to feed us, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of it, man. Hey, those days are over.
Absolutely. I know.
I ain't playing for grocery no more. But, you know, people don't realize, I mean, I think a lot of times, and I've got friends that do the same thing, comment, hey, man, what, y'all want to come over and play for, you know, just a little while over here, set up, we're going to have a little, we're going to have some crawfish and beer. And I said, yeah. I said, when are you wanting to do it? And he said, well, such and such date. And he said, well, I want you to play for about 30 minutes, 30, 45 minutes. We want y'all to be able to have fun with too. So in other words, that translates into, we ain't going to pay you.
I know exactly.
We got the beer and the crawfish. Don't worry about bringing
right.
it up.
Brandon Hyde back in Crossin Dixon days, he would always joke around and say, come on, we're going to go play for them. They're going to feed us.
You know, and you told me about some of the hardships. What do you think? So I'm assuming that time at the end of Crossin Dixon was probably the hardest time that you've had in this business. Or, you know, what was I know I'm digging deep. Because that, boy, I could go into, you know, some really dark stuff, you know, on some of this stuff. But what do you think would be the hardest time that you had, you know, in this business? Maybe let's just say besides the Crossin Dixon thing, you know.
As far as you talking in finance,
personally,
personal
that you would share, and I know, you know.
Well, when Crossin Dixon first, I know I was engaged, and you know, just going through all of that while I'm being gone on the road, it was a nightmare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was something, if I could go back and change, I would definitely change. I wouldn't have gotten in a serious relationship or being engaged with anybody at that time. And I'm not talking about my wife now. This is somebody totally different.
Yeah.
I would definitely not do that, because I think that took away from some of my focus out there on the road as well. You know what I mean? Because it was a constant battle back home, and it was almost times where you dreaded coming back home for that sole purpose, you know. Just talking about that would probably be personally, and other than being away from friends and family and, you know, and missing everyday things that you take for granted on a daily basis. Another, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, during that radio tour, we were focused I've ever been in my life. And it was a financial struggle. I mean, so you had that weighing down on your mind too. There's a lot goes on in that business that people don't know about. And like we were talking about earlier, I think we touched on, all they see, or a lot of people see, is that hour and a half, 2 hours you're on stage.
That's it.
Play, and they see you having a good time while they're out there having a good time. They think that's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know as well, y'all used to set up a bunch of equipment before a show and have to tear all that down. That's make for a long night, especially after you've been on stage entertaining folks for about 3 hours. Mm-hmm. You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, and all that stuff you were talking about too make it really hard to concentrate on having a good show and performance and have fun with all that other weighing on you constantly. That's right. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've had times before where I was leaving to go do a show, and, you know, me and Morgan had a disagreement on something, and she was mad at me about something, or I was mad at her. That sticks with you until you get back home. You know,
exactly. Oh yeah.
The next day or 3 days, according to how got out on that run, and that's with you. That's weighing on you the whole time. I don't know. You guys know how it is. If everything's fine at home and everybody's happy, then that takes a lot of weight off of a person. And you can concentrate on what you're doing out there. That's in the back of your mind, worried. That makes you. I mean, me personally, I become a grouchy person. I'm short with people. I may, be rude to people. And I don't mean to be. And I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I can get along with anybody. And it's just, personal things, family stuff. If something's going in your life it's a demon you're dealing with. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes, and that goes, man. That it could be anything. Not necessarily an argument with your wife. It could be anything going on. You might be worried about your mom. Something going on medically, or a brother or a sister, or a good close friend, or it's just, that's with anybody though in everyday life though. And any kind of work you're doing, not necessarily a band. It could be a 5, whatever. But I think one thing music has taught me to do to life. You know what I mean? I think it's taught me not to take things for granted that I used to take for granted a lot. I think it's humbled me. Definitely humbled. It's made me a better person. I see things differently, especially now that I have kids. My perspective is completely different. But I think I was an easy person because I'm a people person, please everybody. I think I've become a little bit hard, a little bit in a positive way, to where I don't feel like people can push me as much as they would like to sometimes, and I think that's a positive thing that I've gotten out of music, and just the on stage and playing and doing. Not everybody gets to do that,
Yeah.
So
It's a blessing.
Yeah, it is. It is a blessing.
Yeah, just you saying this stuff makes me think about a lot of things, that kind of fit the same puzzle pieces, man. There's been many a times I've went on stage and was, madder than hell, and just had to all of a sudden put on this smile and, try to,
That's right.
Get folks.
It's hard to do.
Boogered up.
It's hard to do. That's right.
But that's back to that. It's the entertainment business, and we got you either entertaining or you ain't.
That's right.
And you have definitely had just, like I said, dude, I can't thank you enough for even talking to us about all this stuff, dude, because this is gold. This is, hopefully going to help some folks and really, maybe get them to even know you and some things they probably didn't even know,
Well, I'm honored you guys even asked me to do it, man. I really am. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to do this with me.
Absolutely, man. It's been super, super interesting. And let's say I think everybody else can enjoy it too. I'm tickled to get to actually talk to you some now too, man. I've been knowing about you for years and seeing the stuff you guys have done. So, big fan and really appreciate getting to talk with you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. More than you guys know. I enjoy talking about it. I don't get to do that a lot. It's kind of a refreshing to be able to do that a little bit.
Sure.
That's kind of the way we felt, man. Just now. And I think, maybe COVID did that to a lot of this stuff of us just saying, let's take a breath here a second. Let's look at things. Let's see what's working, what's not working. And then me and him got to talking about this whole podcast thing. And it was like, you know what, man, there's a whole lot of people around here that have one hell of a story. And some of these people have even been to the big dance and all that kind of stuff. Shoot, and then there's some people, and I don't know with me if it was, dealing with Schneider down there and all that kind of sparked that, but it was like, what, we know some people that's been in some movies. We know some people that's, been on #1 hit albums and all this kind of stuff. And then we know some people, like I say, and it's like, let's try to get them to tell their story, and then it becomes interesting to even hear the person that's just starting off and what their story is. And then it becomes interesting just to hear somebody who maybe, has booked a whole bunch of people and their stories of all the people they've dealt with and all this.
Just right.
Everybody around this business, and it ain't necessarily, somebody doing a podcast in Nashville or LA. It's somebody saying, dude, there's all this going on, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, that y'all don't even, some people don't even know and some people don't realize some of these people that live around here that have been huge,
That's exactly right. I think a lot of people would be surprised at who's around them every day. I know it blows my mind. I find out about some stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, we got some big people coming up on this deal too. And this is all an experiment right now. I mean, it's all an experiment. I mean, we're still figuring out how to get this thing going on all the Apple Podcast and Spotify and all of that too. And we're going to do some boosting and some stuff like that, even on social media. But we're doing it all ourselves, but we want to see what, just how interested, and already there's a bunch of folks, seem to be real interested in it. And I'm like, well, I think
you guys are on to something. I think you guys are really on to something. I think it's a great idea.
Well, at the very least, we're interested. Like, it being around it and doing what we have is still a fan. So, whether it's guy that's done a whole laundry list of stuff that you have done, or, some guys that's starting out, it's still super interesting to, it's just great. It's entertaining.
That's right. I agree 100%.
Well, me, marketing is my forte, so I'm gonna market the best I can.
But you do it as well as anybody does. I can promise you that. I know.
I'm gonna do the best I can to try to at least let folks know about it and then see what, I'm sure, just like always, we'll hear the good, bad, and ugly. But it's just letting it be known and putting it out there, and like you said before, take a chance and see what can happen. Throw some stuff against the wall. You never know, something might stick.
Well, you know what they say: if you ain't hearing the ugly, you ain't doing something right.
That's right.
I got one more. One more question. Moving forward, y'all got this album coming, or is it a full album?
Yeah, it's 9 songs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure enough.
Got 9 songs on it. Sure does.
But what is the plan? Have you got any plans moving forward, or is it just let's kind of see what's going to happen? Yeah,
we're going to get it out. We've met with Tommy Couch, who's the president over there at Malico, and he's going to put together a game plan. We're going to get the album out first and get everything finished. He's going to take a listen. We're going to put some stuff out. We're going to see what happens. If something grows some legs, he's got the capability of favors, making some calls and getting it pushed even further. Now, he didn't go into detail on what that was, but I know around for a long time. They've got a lot of connections in a lot of places. So we're excited about it, man. We're going to see. We'll see what happens.
Did Nick have his hands on some of this? Nick's
absolutely.
Wizard of Oz, dude.
He is, man. You talking about another? Don't even get me started on that guy. He's horrible at guitar.
now all of them. Oh, I already know he's awesome. So all of them, Luke, and Topher and Nick, they all kind of come from that same little area right there, right? Brookhaven or something like that.
That's right. That's right. Some talented bunch of dudes, man.
Man, what you talking about?
The Colonels, that was a legit band. Those guys were good.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
They were really good. I remember they opened up for us one night. I forgot where it was. They opened up for Crossin Dixon, and I was out there listening to them. I was like, oh, I don't know. I want to go on.
Don't know if we need to be following up.
Yeah.
Been there.
I'm sure we headlining tonight. What'd you say?
I was just saying, I've been there.
Oh, yeah. Man, those guys were good.
We used to listen to you, and it was like, let's go back to taking our shirts off. Let's try to book them.
Hey, I remember that's the first time I saw you guys play. Jay Bird up there. Jay had that big mohawk on his head. And I said, who are these cats?
The guy's crazy, man. Oh,
I think we've been friends ever since.
Oh yeah, man, and I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it all. So, anyways, what if you got anything that's crazy that nobody knows about?
I got some great stories. Of course, not all of them I can tell, but
yeah,
if we was all sitting around a campfire drinking beer, it'd be a different story. But
yeah,
we played a show, and I want to say it was It was up north, but I don't remember the state. I just remember it a long way from home. And I don't know if it was maybe Minnesota, maybe, or Wisconsin, maybe. I don't remember. Maybe it was Wisconsin. We had played this big festival, and we were on a tour bus, and we had gotten on the tour bus in Birmingham, and that's where we had our personal vehicles parked, drive back home. And so we left the festival and drove all night, woke up next day. I always woke up whenever the bus turned off. And I'd wake up, so I got up and I went there and slid the little door open to go into the bathroom and pee. And I was just standing in my drawers, and there's this girl standing there that I've never seen before in my life. Didn't know who she was or anything about her. And I said, who are you? And she said, oh, I'm such and such. I hung out with such and such last night on the bus. I'm not going to give you names. And she said, I said, well, sweetheart, where are you from? And she said, oh, back there where the festival was in Wisconsin. And I said, you realize we're in Birmingham, Alabama, don't you? And she said, dude, what? She had no clue we were in Alabama, that she had ridden all night. I guess she passed out. And so somebody on the bus had to buy her a plane ticket back to Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And that's just one of the more, easier ones.
Mild ones.
Yeah.
But good. That one's good now. Not a lot of local guys have those stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, we're across the country from where you're from, right?
Yeah, you're nowhere near Wisconsin.
I love it, dude. I love it. Brother, thank you again for everything, man.
Thank y'all, man. I've had a blast, dude.
We could, man, I'm sure we could go all night long, dude.
Yeah, we could.
But this is really good stuff, dude. And I really appreciate you being on.
Man, no thanks needed. I was proud to do it. I'm honored to do it. Thank y'all for having me, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Can't wait to hear that album, man. And good luck with everything you got going on with that. I hope wish the best for you, man.
I appreciate that. Thank y'all very much.
We love you, brother. Y'all have a good night.
Love you, boys. Y'all be good.
Love you, man. Later.
Peace out, boys.